Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Tether Radio Podcast. I'm Daniel Bradley, and I'm joined by my brother and co-host, Joseph. Joseph, you want to say hello?
Yo, what is up, party people? How are you doing? This is episode 5.
Episode
5. Excellent.
005.
Like a train down the tracks, man. making it happen. How you doing, brother?
Dude, doing well. Trying to keep cool in these extreme heat summer days, man. Because it's just like,
dude,
it's grueling.
And it's more than just the temperature.
Yeah, right.
Yes,
but,
shit is in the spin zone, my bro.
Yeah, but you know what? Thank God we're tethered, man.
Good. That's it. That's exactly right, dude. That is exactly right. There were a couple times this past week where I thought I was going to lose my shit, but you know, luckily I was able to bring it back here. So we've got a meaty episode.
Yeah, for sure.
A meaty, juicy episode, just waiting to be kind of torn apart here.
Yeah, once you tear it apart, you won't want to lick that delicious juice off them fingers.
I mean, at the end of this sumbitch, we might need some sopping bread.
Hell yeah! All right, man. To kick off the episode, I dug up this article. Josh Brolin gives blessing to Reddit's Thanos as 600,000 people prepare for ban.
So you're going to have to start at the beginning on this, because you mentioned this a little bit earlier to me, and I'm assuming some of our listeners are maybe a little bit in the dark.
Yeah.
Even though this has been like, you know, in the meme-averse has been like, you know, like redlining or whatever. But yeah, so break it down from the get-go.
From the top. All right, man. So, first of all, just in case you were unaware, you being either of us or the listeners, Josh Brolin actually played Thanos in the Avengers Infinity War. And the whole idea behind this is there was a subreddit that was called Thanos Did Nothing Wrong. And so basically it was about the subreddit was based on shit posting stuff about Thanos in regards to him wiping out half the population of the universe in the movie. And so that was the premise of all of this. Well, so the mods of the subreddit decided to take it a step further, and they said, okay, well, you know what? If Thanos did nothing wrong, then we're going to do the same fucking thing to this subreddit. And so we are going to ban half of the community of Thanos. Thanos did nothing wrong, and in an homage to what he did in the actual the movie or whatever. So they actually had a video on there of Josh Brolin, which in the movie, you know, Thanos does this like whatever. He's got the Infinity Stones and like his whatever the power glove. I have not seen the movie yet, and honestly, I should be struck down in where I stand for not having seen it, because I've heard really good stuff about it. But I have seen enough about it to know kind of what was going on. But anyway, so literally there's this short video of Josh Brolin, and he just says, "Here we go, Reddit users," and then he goes and snaps or whatever.
Right.
So
right.
They actually did the ban, because this actually came out. This article came out on the 9th, or I guess yesterday, and they actually did the ban. But what happened is people got wind of this and everybody wanted to be a part of it or whatever. So people started subbing to the subreddit quicker than they could ban people to actually get it to half half the people being there. So if you actually go look at the subreddit right now, it only has like 20,000 less than which I think they were working with the number 620,000 for the original ban, or I'm sorry, for the original community population, and so they were going to do about 310,000.
Which is crazy, dude. 600,000. I mean, what is the typical Reddit? The typical sub has how many? Millions?
That's I mean, dude, it's kind of crazy. I would say if your sub has over I would say like 50,000, then you're doing pretty good.
Now I don't know though, dude. So I'm on Reddit right now, just poking around.
Yeah.
The subreddit. I can't believe this is what I clicked on.
What was it?
It's and it's like cute pets.
Oh, yeah, well, dude, but you also have the backbone of Reddit that it's like, politics, news, technology, science, those things that have like tens of millions,
Yeah, because or whatever has 17.5 million.
Yeah, exactly. But no. So the best part is it didn't stop there, which I think that the internet is just such a funny place. Like, it's just really interesting how people decide to like react to stuff. But so I pulled up the actual mod post, and it has like whatever, an asterisk and the word snap and then asterisk, and it says the ban has begun.
Right.
And so they started banning people. Well, so then somebody was like, well, how do we keep up with the people that got banned? So they started a subreddit called in the Soul Stone. So if you got banned, you were supposed to unsubscribe and then sub back to the In the Soul Stone. And so then if you go to In the Soul Stone, there's all these people that it's like my reaction when I realized that I'd gotten banned or whatever. And like, if you go back to the other one, then it's like people are like, oh, this was my reaction when I got up the next day and I hadn't been banned or whatever. It was really funny. Like I don't know. It was super simple entertainment, but damn if it wasn't entertaining. So
yeah, dude. Yeah. Man, I'm telling you, the memes have been on fire lately, dude.
Oh, dude,
on fire. Have you seen the used car salesman? I think we talked about this.
Oh, yeah, totally.
It's like slaps the top of this, It's like he's standing there and he like slaps the top of whatever object and it says you can fit so many whatevers in this.
Yeah.
It's
well, and so one last thing about this, and then we'll cruise on to the next topic. But so Joe Russo, who I believe the Russo brothers directed Infinity War. And so Joe Russo posted the video of Josh Brolin, and so he was actually in the mix for being banned or whatever, which was kind of an interesting side point or whatever. But because they were like they said, what was it? Only people were saying that only one Russo brother can survive the purge.
It's just so awesome, man.
Oh, dude, it
it's
really
awesome.
is. Really is. But
the internet is amazing and getting better all the time.
Oh yeah, dude, for sure. But speaking of white hot memes, man, tell me about this white hot heat.
Yeah. So this is just kind of we try to pick up some kind of fun stuff from the prior week, some interesting stuff from the prior week, maybe some kind of more technology and science oriented pieces. This one is not. I don't know that there's a lot of depth here, but I just thought it was interesting. I mean, as you know, Daniel, I'm live in LA for the majority of the year. Mm-hmm. And so the Los Angeles basin, and actually beyond, because it was in San Bernardino as well, but had a crazy heat wave last week, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and we'll get into the global warming thing here in just a little bit, I guess. So the following temperatures were recorded. These set all-time records, right?
Uh-huh.
And at the Van Nuys Airport, which that's in like the valley, that's like just north of LA. 117 degrees. Burbank Airport, 114 degrees. UCLA, which is west LA.
Yeah.
In Brentwood, it's actually not that far away from the ocean either, which is kind of interesting. 111 degrees. Santa Ana, which is south of LA, 114. And
I mean, for you guys to get out of like the 90s, right? Or hell, even into the 90s, right?
Well, it's not uncommon to hit, triple digits in the summer. It's not super uncommon, but I mean, dude, 118 degrees in Riverside. I mean, like, Death Valley is the hottest place on Earth, right?
I don't know, actually. That's a good question, man.
Let's see, hottest weather. Here we go. The hottest recorded, I think it is Death Valley, right? And the hottest air temperature ever recorded on Earth was in 1913, 134 degrees. Okay.
Jeez, dude.
Yeah, so
this article that I just pulled said the hottest place was a snake's ass in a wagon rut.
That's funny because that's the town's name in Death Valley. Yeah, there's definitely a prospector out there that was just like, I ain't seen this kind of temperature. But the old Will Ferrell saw. But yeah, man. So I mean, these temperatures are fucking out of control. Like that's for sure. And we actually have this poor bastard that was staying in our apartment during this time, and I kept shooting him a text and being like, dude, are you all right? Make sure to keep the windows shut. He was just like, fuck off, But anyway, so that's it's crazy. I mean, I think it's funny though because right, the hottest air temperature ever recorded in Death Valley was in 1913, right? Yeah. So I guess you can, things may be changing, but anyway, it was super crazy, and I don't know, maybe this is something that we can come to, expect in the future or whatever, but I can tell you in Southern California, man, temperatures like that, like there are so many homeless people, right? And there's just so many people that are, I would say, just at risk in weather like that. So it's going to be interesting. I heard that there were tons of power outages and stuff like that. Yeah. But yeah, man, super crazy.
Why power outages, or do you know?
Yeah, I think it's because the grid is overtaxed. Like when it gets that hot, everybody's inside, everybody's using AC.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
And I think the grid gets waxed, and then and then shit explodes. But in the building that we live in, our manager, I got this email that was like, no more AC related calls, and like that was it, So.
Jeez,
so the shit was hitting the fan, man, out there. But anyway, it was interesting because I mean I was back east during this time. Daniel, I was in Atlanta. I am in Atlanta. You're up in Tennessee. I mean, it was in the 90s, almost 100. During this.
So I know the heat index on the 4th got it went up to 105. So
right.
that's taking into account humidity also, because I mean, dude, once you get into the, whatever, 105s, 110s, I don't give a shit if it's dry heat or not, man. That's just grueling. But
yeah, it definitely is. But I don't know. So is this a new trend? Are we gonna start seeing this, or is it just is everybody just super sensitive to this stuff now that we're I mean, well, I'm definitely sure that Al Gore is looking for, his next opportunity.
See?
Yeah.
I told you.
Yeah.
As he points at the LA Times front page.
He comes in the kitchen off the shitter, right? And he's popping the paper and he goes, I told you,
Nah.
For sure. Shaking the paper around, making it be known that he called it.
I think, in my opinion, I think that for humans to think that they can have that kind of effect on the planet, it's brinking on arrogance, to be perfectly candid with you. But
yeah. So I have there's a topic that we're going to cover in this podcast a little bit later. Not in this podcast, but in this episode. And I think this is going to be an awesome opportunity to drill down on a phenomenon like global warming. I mean, call it whatever you want to call it. Like, it was global warming, and now it's kind of like loosely slipped into climate change or whatever. Well, like, shit, dude. I mean, over the epochs that, that we've been, that we have defined for the history of the world, like, yeah, shit's changed. Temperatures have changed. Are we directly responsible for it? Who the hell knows? But because even if you're like, well, I mean, look at the rise of the industrial age, and then how this has affected temperatures. I mean, just because things are correlated, like, correlation does not define causation, right?
Yeah.
Or does not necessarily point to causation. So, but anyway, I didn't even think about this when we were putting this, our little agenda together here today, but, or our little hit list. But this will be cool once we get into the long form discussion here in a little bit. So anyway, so it's hot. It's hot outside. People hit the pool, right? And so when they hit the pool, sometimes hitting the pool can be, can be fraught full of
can be devastating
of landmines. Yeah. So tell me a little bit about this next article. And this is out of, where was this out of?
This was actually Memphis.
In Memphis,
okay.
Yeah.
So, in Memphis, and this was July 8th, a property manager, the name of the article, or the title of the article, was "Woman Fired After Calling the Police on a Black Man for Wearing Socks in a Community Pool."
Uh-huh.
Okay, so let's dive into this a little deeper. So,
I mean, hold on. I'm scanning this. So she responded, like the cop show, she responded, "No socks, t-shirts, hats, or things of that nature are allowed in the pool." Anyway, go ahead.
Well, so this kind of hits close to home, I guess, in regards to, I lived in Memphis for a year. And I actually know where these Riverset apartments are. They're on Mud Island. So, and I think I've actually been to the pool, which is, I don't know. That's just total side note, but I totally know where this place is. But anyway, so basically what happened was this lady, let's see, they call her Porter. I'm assuming her last name's Porter, but I can't remember her first name. Oh, Camry. Yeah.
Camry, yeah.
Camry Porter and her boyfriend Kevin Yates and their two godchildren were enjoying the pool around noon on the 4th of July when she noticed a woman, this quote, constantly watching us and whispering amongst her friends. So Porter and her boyfriend are like hanging out over there. The boyfriend's got his feet dangling into the pool and he's got socks on, which I do kind of feel like, I mean, I don't have a problem with people wearing like t-shirts and shit in the pool and stuff. Socks, honestly, that's just weird. It's not that I have a problem. Well, I think she did the wrong thing.
I mean, I think she should have just been like, there's no fucking way that's comfortable, man. Like,
well, no, exactly. It's
maybe just start the conversation out like that.
Yeah, but anyway, so she she notices that this lady or whatever, this woman is watching them and stuff, and so then I guess the lady comes over and identifies herself as the property manager.
Uh-huh.
And she's like, oh, like you said, no socks, t-shirts, hats, or things of that nature are allowed in the pool. That's what she says. Well, she basically said that...
Wait. I missed that part. So the property manager said...
man, let's see. Yeah, so Walker identified herself as the property manager.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
Well, so
and this chick is white.
Honestly, they do not say that, but I actually have no idea. I mean, you'd be better off betting black for Memphis, but I don't know, man. But anyway, that is a predominantly, it's like a pocket of Mud Island is a pocket of predominantly white people in like downtown fucking Memphis. You know what I'm saying?
Got it. Okay.
But anyway, so she asks the property manager Walker asks Porter for identification. She says that her and her guests needed to leave. She refused. Porter refused, and Walker called the police. Officer shows up 20 minutes later and basically told the property manager no crime is being committed, no laws being broken. But Porter decided to leave anyway. And so she was quoted as saying, "I just decided to defuse the situation and leave." So if they would have left it at that, I would have been like, okay, you know what? That was probably a good call, kind of thing. Then she says
for her to diffuse the situation by leaving.
Because sometimes that's the best option. It's like plus it's like nowhere in this article does it say that she lived in Riverset.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I don't know.
So maybe she didn't or whatever.
Yeah.
Or whatever,
but anyway, then she goes on to be quoted as saying, "The situation could have escalated. It could have ended in death. Worst case scenario."
Well,
I'm like,
okay.
So I get it. I get where she's coming from. That it's like, there's not a whole lot of good press about the police and black people and whatever.
Or just even taking a step back. Escalate like situations that don't seem to be huge deals being escalated into like fucking absurdity where people do their
I have a hard time believing the police being called because a man was wearing socks at a community pool would escalate to the point of a like gunshot victim, which I'm assuming is where they're going with this.
Yeah, but I mean, here's the thing though, right? Like, I mean, you could imagine. So a couple of comments on your article, right? So you could imagine if the cops came and they said, "Hey, man, she asked you to do that, and then the guy's like, fuck you, I'm gonna do what I want. Like, are you kidding?" And then the cops are like, "Hey, can you just take him?" And he's like, "No, fuck you." And then they're like, "Sir, we're gonna have to ask you to." And then the struggle ensues. And then you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, no, I get it. I completely get it. It's just laughable.
So, well, here is what is so crazy about this to me.
Yeah.
If you look at the lady that called the cops on the people that were barbecuing in Oakland, the lady that like called the cops on like a girl selling water in San Francisco, this situation, what was the other one that recently happened with a pool, something about like a guy had called the cops because he said these people didn't live there at the pool, that they were, so like, I think that it's a slightly different thing. I mean, I am so suspect, dude. So suspect of our shit media, which I cannot wait
and that was
drill down into this, which is the next point here on our agenda today. But I hate to say agenda on our punch list because we don't have an agenda. It's just the list.
Yeah. Our docket.
But I think on our docket, yeah. But I think it's more simple than that, man. These are just fucking stupid people.
Yeah.
Just doing stupid fucking things.
Yeah.
And it's like I don't know. I mean, think about, there is a pool that is a community pool in the complex that our parents live in, right? Mm-hmm. If somebody was down there and clearly didn't live in the neighborhood, right? Whether they were black, white, Asian, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, they 100% would be asked to leave. I know that for a fact, right?
I'm pretty fucking sure we've been there when that shit's gone down.
yeah. And so like, I understand, you know, whatever, like being, you know, people can like, can you know, marginalize and say, oh, that's stupid, like whatever. But I mean, realistically, it's like people pay, you know, homeowners dues or whatever. And it's like, you know, I'm sure there are liability concerns and all this shit. It doesn't seem like that big of a deal. But I think that it's just people with really, really underdeveloped social skills or something that are just doing stupid things. Like with the lady that called the cops on the young girl that was selling water in San Francisco. Mm-hmm. If you read the article, like, this lady is working on a weekend, okay? And this lady and her daughter are in front of their apartment complex yelling, water for sale, water for sale, water for sale, water for sale, for like hours, right?
Yeah.
And this lady's like, goes down and is like, hey, like, I don't have a problem with you selling water, but can you shut the fuck up? Yeah. Like, I'm trying to work here. Yeah. Like, this is like, could you just be quiet? And so then they weren't, and then so she was like, well, then I'm going to call the cops on you. And then this gets escalated into this thing where it's like this mean white lady calling the cops on this poor little black girl that's tried to sell water. Yeah. And so that's not the situation. It's just two fucking idiot people. The lady who is sitting there and not being reasonable yelling at the top of her lungs about water for sale. And then also this lady who is probably not being reasonable in some way, you know?
Totally.
But then the thing that is so frustrating is that the media, because they need these hot button issues for people to fucking click on shit. Yeah. Because when they get you there, I'm on USA Today and they are slinging me ads for AT&T and Jimmy John's. One is a fast, delicious sandwich. I'll probably buy that. AT&T. I'm on Verizon. I'm all good. But my point is that it's all, this shit has become so clickbaity.
Well, it's not about the content of the story. It's getting people to feast on your ads, basically.
But then they're using topics that fucking matter. Right?
Yeah,
like,
correct.
That is, like, I get it. I understand how we've gotten to this end state. We're not in an end state, but I understand where we are in this kind of like evolution of the internet as a info tool. Mm-hmm. But man, it is so unbelievably like in a time where there's so much information available, and investigative journalism, not that the investigative journalism needs to be applied to a fucking pool, you know, socks pool scenario.
Yeah.
But, you know, investigative journalism that could actually change things, you know, is not applied. And instead we're just into this like era of clickbaity where white woman calls police on small black girls selling water. You won't believe what happens next. And it's just like, God damn, like there are serious social issues that need to be inspected and looked at and really, that we need to have really healthy discourse on, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, fuck yeah, there's economic inequality in the United States. Is it a race thing? I honestly, growing up in a place like we grew up in very, very rural East Tennessee, I kind of lean towards no. You know, it's more of a class thing, right? Yeah. Like you really want to know, you know, how the power structure is divided up. Look who makes the money, you know, like look at that picture. And so it's like, you know, instead of drilling down on these things, like you just have this like absurdity, man. And I wonder if it has. So 41 comments on this article was published July 8th. 41 comments, which is, you know, pretty hot in the comment section there. And I don't see any stats on how many times it's been shared or whatever. But my point is that, like, you know, it's just I think journalism. I mean, this is a really weird comment, I guess, to come out of this little punch ticket item here of the dude with, you know, socks in the pool. But man, journalism is in a fucking death spiral. Like it is.
And kind of piggybacking on what I believe the point you're making is that it's like the due diligence for actually getting accurate and factual content is like completely out the door. Because it's like, you look at this article, and I mean, now granted, this does not exist in this article, so I mean, don't be looking for it. But it's like, an article, they're like, oh, well, we arrived on the scene, and a person was quoted as saying, that's really racist, so it's racist. It's like, so wait a second. A random person that was quoted on the scene says something, so it's automatically factual.
Right. Well, I mean, hey, look, it just begs the question, like, how the fuck is this news? I mean, you've got like serious shit that is happening, right? Like, did you see that the absolutely horrendous video 3 or 4 years ago of this fucking guy? He tries to arrest this like older black guy, and the guy turns around and runs from him. Dude draws his pistol and just fucking executes this guy. Like, did you see this?
No, I didn't.
It is fucking crazy. And somebody was recording this kind of from a distance with a cell phone.
Yeah.
Dude executes this dude. I mean, it wasn't even a struggle. Like, the guy like tries to grab his wrist, and he like jerks his wrist away and just starts running in the other direction. Dude just draws down on him, mows this motherfucker down, and then takes out his taser, deploys it, and no, he didn't deploy the taser on it. Actually, I don't think. But he puts the taser in the vicinity of the guy, and then lied on the report and said he stole his taser, and that's why he shot him. You know what I'm saying? Like, so a situation like that, like, that is the shit. Like, that is a clear example of just some fucked up cop like doing some fucked up shit, and like that's where the concentration needs to be. But you're not going to get it in this clickbaity stuff, and so it's like now it's just like, I don't know, man.
That's because it's entirely too cut and dry, and you can't have an open, ridiculous, out of control, spiraling discussion down in the comments.
You're exactly right. You're exactly right. And it's just it's I don't know. I've just been thinking a lot about this lately. Not socks and pools. Even though now I might try it out. It sounds
well,
like
the question is, did she just misunderstand that he maybe had pool shoes on? So that they were socks that were shoes?
Yeah, dude. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, she didn't even check.
He's just dipping his piggies in, no biggie.
He had boat shoes on.
Yeah, right.
You remember those boat, like when you're like 2, excuse me, when you're like 5, you have like the boat shoes.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's just, I've been thinking a lot about the state of journalism, and we've got this amazing tool in the internet where, if somebody wants to sit down and kind of and put some thought into something, the audience is there to read it. And it's just fascinating because you've got all of these news outlets that are kind of, are kind of leaning towards like sound bites, right? Where it's like, did you send me that thing on Vice the other day where it's like how Vice picks articles?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, and it's like, so for the listeners, we'll see if we can grab this video. But it's for the listeners, it's like this guy, and he's like sitting at, it's obviously this is a spoof, but guy's like sitting in his office, he's like typing on his computer, and he's like, damn, he's like thinking hard. So he takes these like dildos that have like the suction cup, and he like throws them at the wall. They land on transgender like drug dealers, and then it's like, there are these categories, right? Yeah. Like, marginalized people, and then it's like, bad things that people can do, and then it's like, third world countries. And the result of the article is like transgender meth dealers in Colombia.
Yeah.
And so it's all news outlets, are being forced because of their business models to turn into these just fucking circus shows, dude. Yeah. And actually, this is a really good segue into long form discussion. This long form discussion. So I was watching. I'm a big fan of Joe Rogan. I don't know that I'm like, I think Joe Rogan, like, will be, his comedy, whatever, his run on Fear Factor, whatever.
Fear Factor.
His work in MMA, I don't really give a shit, but he's a fantastic facilitator of conversation. So if for those of you that haven't seen the Joe Rogan podcast, seen or heard the Joe Rogan podcast, I'll catch little spots as much as I can on YouTube when my schedule allows, and these things are like 3.5 hours, 2.5 hours, right? Unfortunately, I don't have the time to sit down and watch it in kind of one fell swoop, but nevertheless, they're really long, and he invites experts from a variety of different fields I don't even say experts, just interesting personalities, right? And then has just a kind of unscripted conversation with them, right? That just kind of talks about recent things that they've done, things that are in the news, and it's just cool because you come away from this at the end of having a pretty nice profile on the people that he's invited in, kind of like the way that they look at the world and some interesting points.
It's almost like an open discussion TED Talk kind of thing, as
It
opposed
is.
to
That's a great way to put it.
an actual lecture, right?
That's right. And there's no production.
Yeah.
Like the production value, like it's not narrative based, right?
Yeah.
Or narrative driven.
Yeah.
And so I was watching this one on with Joe Rogan and Jordan Peterson. Jordan Peterson is a psychology professor from the University of Toronto, I believe. Has been in the news recently because he is really against the pronouns, like the unbelievable number of pronouns that have come out for the LGBTQ community, right? So
ZQITP.
Yeah.
Sorry, I wanted to be all inclusive.
Z and Zer and they and them and whatever. And so that's another topic for another day. But he's a sharp guy. A lot of people don't like him. But this point was brought up that I was sharing with Daniel, and I just thought it was like such an incredible point. So basically the idea is the following, that, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, which I full attribution, and I kind of started thinking about this after this episode with Jordan Peterson on the Rogan podcast, but, media today, pick one, right? Sorry for the P there. Put a little too much on that P. But pick one. Media today is very much about being arrested while recording live.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. Could you hear that? I'm so sorry.
Like very, very faintly.
Very, very good.
We're good.
Okay, so media today is very much about a business model that's extinct, right? Like, it's pretty obvious that people cannot just sell ads and sell, space in the back pages to sell shit in the classifieds and make a living. Media outlets are really trying to figure this out. They're standing things up like paywalls and whatever to get you to pay for the content and whatever. But it's a really challenging environment right now. And so at the same time, more people than ever have access to these media outlets. But because they're in this, that news has become, and I don't even really think this is up for debate anymore, but infotainment for sure, right?
Yeah.
The way that it's structured is not to really like dig in and pick at the actual issue. Instead, it's just to entertain, right?
Yeah.
And so this comment that Peterson made was that with the emergence of things like all these different podcasts, right, that want to talk about a variety of different topics, but they're not like 15-minute podcasts, right? They're like an hour long, 2 hours long, 3 hours long. I mean, think about it. When we were deciding like the length of Tether, we said an hour for sure, at least an hour. And I was like, maybe 30 minutes for little bites that people can, listen to. But I mean, ultimately, to really dig in and talk about these issues in a little bit more depth, you just need the time. That's it. That is the thing you need. And so Peterson was saying that with the emergence of the ability to record podcasts and publish them easily, to record video series and to publish them easily, you now have this, in his mind, this emergence of this long form discussion, which is incredibly important I hate to say it like this, but in times such as these, where there are so many absolutely crucially important topics that need to be discussed at length, right? And his whole thing was that he felt that this was kind of a revolution in the way that people take in information, right? And are kind of forced to I don't want to say forced, but are encouraged to engage in a much deeper way. If you look at news outlets from like the news anchors of like the 50s and 60s and 40s, 50s and 60s, and you think about people like Walter Cronkite, right? These were guys that were like, suit and tie, like up till 4 a.m, prepping shit. Like they're not just like pretty people gunning for ratings, right?
Yeah.
Necessarily. And so it was kind of this idea that like 50 million households tune in to, there probably weren't even 50 million households with TVs at that point, but 5 million households or whatever percentage of people with the TV tune into Cronkite each night to listen to this, kind of give the recap on the day. I mean, ratings were synonymous with like, it seemed, with quality journalism, right? And people you could trust. And now we've had this situation where it's like, how many news anchors, man, in the past 4 or 5 years have just been caught like flat out fucking lying about shit? Yeah. I mean, you remember the meme with Brian, what's his face? What's that guy's name from ABC? Brian.
It wasn't Brian Gumbel, was it?
No.
You're
Brian.
Oh, never mind.
About Brian Williams was that guy's name.
Brian Williams. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And he was like, he made up some fucking story about like flying in a helicopter or something, and it was just like, people just took it and ran with it. There was like this meme of him like flying on the back of a hummingbird, across. Yeah. across the Amazon or whatever. I mean, it was just like, and so like, who knows how much he had planned kind of in the past. But the point is, let me wrap this up. The point is that, as Peterson said, and I thought this was a great point, you get on a panel and you have 6 minutes, right? You have 6 minutes. So you're supposed to be the expert in your field on a panel, right? You have 6 minutes. Maybe to discuss.
Yeah, expert in your field trying to do a deep dive on a topic in 6
right,
minutes.
Exactly. So they're like, black men are being incarcerated at a rate that is, that much exceeds any other demo. Like, here are 15 fucking people for a 30-minute slot. Go.
Yeah.
And it's just like breaking a pool cue, throwing it in the middle of this room, and it's just like this battle royale, and nobody's saying anything. That was the point Rogan made, right? It's like, you listen to these people, like, they're not fucking saying anything. I'm telling you, I am encouraging you, Daniel, and everybody that's listening to this, the next time you turn on NPR, and I really like NPR, but like an NPR segment, right, where they have like an expert on, or watch TV, like actually listen to what they say. Like, don't watch it. Like, really listen to what they're saying. And they say shit like, here's Joseph Bradley, cognitive blah 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 blah, expert in criminal psychology or whatever. What do you think? And I'm like, well, the thing with criminal psychology is that it seeks to really understand the mind of a criminal, and when that criminal is incarcerated, or when someone is incarcerated, it does things to the mind that we can observe. Like, that's the kind of shit that they say, right?
Yeah.
Where you're just like, what the fuck did that even mean, dude?
Yeah.
It's
like not
funny.
even. Well, not even addressing questions and shit,
That's
because
right.
it's just
That's right.
like they're not actually discussing anything. They're not actually conversing about stuff. They're literally just giving their spiel because they know that they're going to have X amount of time on air, and so they want to use it for this reason. So fuck the question, fuck the discussion. I'm just going to say what I want to get across, and then that's why, you've got 10 people doing that. So it gets muddled into this shit that, like you said, nothing is actually being said.
Nothing
Right?
is actually being said. That's exactly right. And much less is there accountability being demanded of the person that's actually saying nothing.
Yeah.
And so it's not like there is very few times you will see news anchors be like, what did you just say? Right? Because it's like this rehearsed dance, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so anyway, the point of this was that in his mind there is a huge hunger for long form, right? Mm-hmm. And that in his mind, people that want to be engaged deeply and think deeply about topics have already left. Watching news. Dude, I don't watch CNN. I don't watch Fox. I don't watch CNBC.
I don't have cable.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, and frankly, dude, even if I did, like, I would be hard fucking pressed to watch that.
Yeah.
Like, it just doesn't, I don't get anything out of it.
Yeah.
And so his point was, the bell curve is real, right? Especially when you talk about, like, levels of complexity in the way that people think about topics. And so now all of these things are just like feeding the people that have stayed behind to watch this shit. I know a lot of them. You know a lot of them. I'm sure everybody that's listening to this knows a lot of folks that are still into some of these channels. Mm-hmm. And so now things are just becoming even more clickbaity and even more kind of, hyped up and irrelevant or illogical and absurd.
Yeah.
And so anyway, one of the things that he also brought up was not only the emergence of long form in podcasting and kind of online videos, but also long form in narratives in television, right? Where he was like, I mean, think about it. He's like, a 30-minute episode used to be the thing. That used to be what everybody was all about, like a 30-minute sitcom or NCIS or whatever. Those shows are still popular, but now you've got this huge emergence of unbelievably complex, like multi, hour plus long episodes of a TV show, right?
Yeah.
That reveals just crazy layers and, to the point where, and these are Peter Jackson's words, that you can actually explore some of the depth and layers that a book can, right?
Yeah.
And so his point was that he's actually really encouraged by the fact that things like Game of Thrones and name one, right? Westworld,
like Mindhunter or something.
Say that again.
Mindhunter,
yeah, stuff like that. That he's like encouraged that these are so popular because it seems to be revealing that like people, are really interested in kind of thinking about things at a different level and having a different level of exposure. Super long lead up. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, so I actually had a question in regards to, do you think that is the reason why people have honestly, or at least a lot of people that I know and a lot of like the podcasts that I listen to, dude, all these people get their news from Twitter, 280 characters at a time.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
It's a good point.
And so it's kind of,
and when you say get their news, are you saying
breaking news kind of shit? I guess. I mean, okay, dude, case in point, the president of the United States uses Twitter as one of the main places to break news about the United States and the direction of the United States.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I guess I think I think people do yearn for a like long form discussion platform almost, but I don't know. Maybe that's where I guess where do they go to? I mean, are you saying that they go to like whatever the Netflixes, the HBOs, all that stuff to get that fix, kind of thing? I mean, do you think there's a place for a platform for that, or not a place, but
I think we're seeing. I think we're absolutely at the tip of the iceberg on this.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely at the tip of the iceberg. I think that it is only going to become, more popular for sure. The long form for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that now, I think what he's saying is that it's really just kind of anecdotal,
Mm-hmm.
that these longer form, shows and whatever are more popular.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, I don't think they're getting their fix there necessarily. I just think that like the pendulum is swinging, man. Like people are definitely sick of just like fucking low quality, information.
Yeah.
That is like information is so free now that it's just like let's think of like calories, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like they're like good calories are expensive.
Yeah.
Fact.
Yeah.
Right? Bad calories are very, very cheap and easy to get. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, this is because good calories cost more to produce. Right? And so my point is like a box of candy, right? Which has a ton of shitty calories in it is 99 cents. Right? And if you're looking for like the same kind of like caloric effect, I would say, from like healthy food, you're going to pay more, right? You're going to pay more for those calories. So my point is that the way I would relate that to this is that when I'm saying paying when it comes to food, I'm saying paying in terms of time when you're ingesting this information, right? If you want to devote a really short amount of time to this, you're going to get shit. And if you want to devote more time to it, which time, it's a motherfucker because time is the most important thing, then you will have a deeper dive. You will have the opportunity to have a much richer experience. Mm-hmm. Will it end up that that's what people want in the end? I don't know. Just one other quick data point. I think that we are going to see the emergence of I don't want to use the word intellectuals, but of subject masters debating and people paying to see that. I think we are absolutely going to see that in the next couple of years, where people will literally pay $10, $15, whatever, to go sit and see two people who are super smart and well adept in their subject matters have an like hours long debate without a doubt.
Yeah.
Because it's just gotten to absurdity, man. Where it's like you're looking at the news and you're like, really, a guy with socks? What the fuck? Why is this in USA Today? And it's like, it's not that it's not important. It's just the way that it's framed is silly and it's cheap.
Yeah. So do you think that it's just like they're putting out all like, okay, for instance, let's put out 10 dudes that are wearing socks in the pool articles because we can throw out 10 of those articles in a day versus one or more than one. We'll say 3 to 5 actual like good content. Is it just an exposure grab kind of thing?
Well, it's just a velocity grab, right? Because I think the assumption is that people are super busy and they don't have time and blah blah blah, and like that's true for the vast majority of people, right? Mm-hmm. But I think that there is a huge number of people that are beginning to understand that the world and the problems in the world are so complex that a 10-second soundbite, like 250 fucking words on USA Today does not get you there, you know?
Yeah.
And man, I mean, I'm telling you, I'm waiting for a media group to really start engaging, and maybe this would be something like the Atlantic or whatever. I'm just so cynical of all these guys at this point. But some sort of new media group that's really just engaging around like think pieces.
Mm-hmm.
Where people are taking articles like and I don't know, maybe Medium might be filling that void. I don't know if you've seen Medium or if the listeners have seen Medium, but it's a pretty cool kind of like blogging platform,
Mm-hmm.
But I think a media company coming together and doing like think pieces that, for example, gathered stories like socks in the pool and like chick selling water and getting the cops called on her and are saying like, okay, really what's going on here? Like, let's investigate each story in depth and look at this, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, the commentary, very well might be something different where it's not like, okay, these are just, a bunch of, racist people being racist. I'm sure some of them are, but I'm sure many of them are just two groups of just dipshits that are like interacting together, right?
Yeah.
But then not only investigating these stories in depth, but then trying to investigate why the media is so hell bent on spinning this in this direction, right? Yeah. And like just drilling down into these layers. I think there's a huge market for it,
Yeah.
And then I'll wrap with this, and then we'll head on to your topic, which I think is the most fascinating one of the whole episode today.
Yeah.
But I'll wrap with this. It's thinking about so on this like we've gotten to a place where the information is so cheap and so bad and people are making such quick snap judgments that it's just like this everybody's yelling like all the time. The news stations are yelling, the pundits are yelling, the articles are yelling, the ads are yelling. Like no one is being rational and like really taking.
Well, everybody's talking, but nobody's talking to anyone, kind of thing.
Yeah,
they're like talking at. Everybody's talking at everyone else.
That's exactly right. And so, I think that the thing that is just really, really frustrating about that is that I think it's absurd that we've gotten to this point in time where people that are liberal can't be friends with conservatives and conservatives can't be friends with liberals. Like, it's absurd.
Yeah.
I mean, like, the difference of opinion is something where everybody's knees straighten, they cross their arms, and they say, fuck you. Yeah. And it's just like, that to me is I think some people look at it and they're like, and it like really worries them. I don't believe that. I think people in general are way too smart. And not any one demographic, right? Where intuitively they're just like, what? Like, this doesn't make any sense, right?
Well, it's when you abandon like logic and reasoning and actually trying to get the complete story, because everybody knows there's always two sides to a story, It's like when you abandon that shit for emotion. Right. Then I mean, dude, it's going to be a self-fulfilling prophecy kind of thing.
Absolutely, man. So I'm looking forward to. I agree. We'll see if we can post this Rogan episode, but I would definitely say listen to the first 20 minutes for sure.
Yeah.
And just take the time and listen to it. It's just really, really interesting. And hopefully we will see the emergence of more rational debate, because the answer is never in one direction. It's always a consensus, because you got to live with 325.7 million motherfuckers in this country. So you better get used to some consensus of some sort.
Yeah.
Anyway, dude. So if I want to psychologically manipulate you, right? How would I do that to get what I want? Walk us through this, dude.
It's really funny that you'd ask that. No, so I was, and I was trying to remember, I was actually on Imager, I believe, and, got down into the comments section, and this guy was talking about how, he had a little brother, that he was just messing with, and that, like, every time his brother would leave the room, he would move a couple objects that weren't, like center to the room kind of thing. So, like, whatever, move, flip the places of two picture frames, or, like, put a lamp on the other end of the table, or something like that. And somebody was like, dude, you were completely gaslighting your brother, or whatever. And I was like, gaslighting. I have actually never heard of that term. And so I started looking into it. And I absolutely love the shit out of some psychology. Like, I think the human, like, mind is absolutely fascinating. But anyway, so I'm just gonna literally read the definition of gaslighting. Now I'm pulling this from Wikipedia, so which is always a great resource. But anyway, right. So gaslighting is a form of psychological manipulation that seeks to sow seeds of doubt in a targeted individual or in members of a targeted group, making them question their own memory, perception, and sanity. So I was like, that sounds really weird. Like, just, I need to dive a little deeper into this, So I started looking into these articles and stuff. And, I mean, dude, this is like straight up psychological, like, warfare kind of thing, or okay. I'm sorry, it can be used in that manner. So taking a step back, because everybody always wonders, oh, well, that's kind of a random, name for something like that, right? Or at least that was kind of my take on it. So that actually came from this movie that was called Gaslight, and it had Ingrid Bergman in it, and it was from the 40s. And so apparently what it was is the husband was trying to psychologically manipulate his wife and basically weaken her to basically just give in to his, like, whims and stuff. And so what he did in the movie is he started dimming the gas lights, but he just did it slightly. And so she started questioning that, and he's like, I don't know what you're talking about. That's, I'm not doing that. You're crazy or whatever. Well, I'm completely and utterly simplifying this plot, but anyway, so it basically leads to her just questioning her sanity and just, like, not really realizing, or not being well founded in reality and stuff. And so I started thinking about it, and I started looking into, like, signs of it and stuff like that, which the internet is both a beautiful and a terrifying place. But anyway, so I'm going to read the 11 signs of gaslighting real quick. Okay. And this is from the Psychology Today. So people that will just blatantly tell you a lie. And it's like they even know that it's like a lie, but they'll tell it to you because basically it's like, oh, well, if this person is lying to me right now, when are they ever telling the truth, kind of thing. Okay. Then another one was they denied they'd ever said something, even though you have proof, they still deny it. Okay. They use what is near and dear to you as ammunition. So the example they gave is they'll tell you you'd be a worthy person if only you didn't have a long list of negative traits. They wear you down over time. Their actions do not match their words. They throw in positive reinforcement to confuse you. And then they know confusion weakens people. they project. So whatever, if somebody's cheating on somebody else, they'll, call the other person the cheater, even though they know that they're the one actually cheating. They try to align people against you. Uh-huh. They tell you or others that you're crazy, and they tell you everyone else is a liar, kind of thing. So this was just like absolutely crazy to me, because it totally made me think of one person. Uh-huh. And it was I used to date this girl in undergrad, and her mother literally exhibited probably, I don't know, 8, 10 of those traits kind of thing. And it was doing this shit that it was like another one of the signs was, they'll do something to get you really riled up, and then they'll be like, well, why are you so upset? Why are you overreacting so hardcore, and like blah blah blah, and just like, even though probably the reaction is warranted, kind of thing.
Yeah, so help me understand this, okay. Right? If I'm gaslighting somebody, the goal is just to psychologically break them down, to make them more malleable to what I want them to do.
Exactly, because basically, what the gist that I got from the stuff that they don't
know which end is up.
Yes, by keeping this person in this like whatever cloud of confusion, then you can basically manipulate them in whatever manner you see fit, kind of thing.
Got it.
So it's literally just a mind weakening kind of thing, and then basically their reality is founded in you, kind of thing.
Got it.
So you whatever you tell them, they're accepting and stuff.
Got it.
And man, it was one of these things that like, it's terrifying, to be perfectly candid with you. Because, I mean, this is, not only does this thing truly exist and it's well documented, but it's like, I don't know, man. It's just like reading all this stuff and being the cynic that I am. I'm just like, what's your angle? What's your angle? Kind of thing.
Yeah. So this would be, if somebody is gaslighting, right? Mm-hmm. The suggestion is that they are purposely using these tactics. Like, I don't feel like somebody would go in and say, I'm going to gaslight. I feel like gaslighting is just like the sum of many fucked up manipulation tactics, right?
Yeah, well, no, and I mean, I agree with you. I don't think somebody goes in with the idea of using this methodology kind of thing. But I think that when you have somebody that knows how to manipulate, I would think this would be one of their. Well, I say one of their. I would think that this would be way up there in regards to what they use to manipulate, kind of thing. Like you said, kind of like a, like whatever, beating somebody up and, basically making them think that they're not worth what they, what they really are or probably are, whatever.
So what would other, I mean, this is a really fucked way to put this, but like, what would other kind of tools be in the manipulator's tool belt, right? Like, there would be gaslighting, there would be like physical intimidation, like.
Well, I mean, dude,
do you know what I'm saying? Like, is this, so it's like, this is really kind of a look back term. Like you're saying, if all of these things happen and the result is this is what we call it.
Yeah, well, and I think this kind of comes back to the correlation, not causation kind of thing.
Sure.
It's like, if you... A lot of psychology, I think, is really saying it's almost a field of exclusion kind of thing.
Right.
So that it's like, okay, well... this isn't happening, this coincides with this pretty well, so this is probably, you were the victim of, gaslighting or whatever, or your partner was using these tactics that totally line up with someone that gaslights or whatever, someone that manipulates in these manners kind of thing. That it's not, like you said, it's not somebody like leaving the house and being like, I'm gonna fucking gaslight somebody or whatever, you know?
Right. They don't have a bumper sticker. Gaslighting is my bag. Right.
Yeah, gaslight or bust.
Yeah. But, question your reality. You know.
Yeah.
You question your reality, you sniveling wiener. Gaslighting.
Sniveling wiener.
Gaslighting Conference 2018.
Yeah. But it was just one of these things that, like, it basically just breaks down to where the person that's being gaslit or gaslighted, whatever the term would be, they just question everything. They question whether they're making the right decision, whether you're making the right decision, and it's just like, when you've got somebody that, you know, you've broken someone down to the point to where they really don't feel comfortable standing for anything, then that's a pretty fucking malleable mind, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, but yeah, man, it was just well, I didn't realize it was going to be as deep a dive as I thought it was going to be, and I would 100% recommend everybody out there to look into it, because it's a very interesting, very, very interesting thing, and it's just really, really weird, man. It really is. But I think that also most people that would fall prey to that are not that they are weak-minded and, you know, or anything like that, but I think that you can kind of be predisposed to that, you know. Like
right.
the girl that I was talking about earlier, dude, she needs multiple, you know, years of therapy because this shit. I mean, dude, she's literally, her mom has been doing this shit to her since she was born, kind of thing. So it's like, that's some heavy, heavy fucking shit right there. So
yeah, well, and it's I just think that it's so this is a really, a really interesting topic, but where I start to see I don't know, some problems with it is like when I was doing some Googling, it was like how to tell if you know, you've been the victim of gaslighting. And it's just like, good God, like instead of trying to, you know, create more victims, right? Kind of concentrating on, okay, these are healthy social habits to have, and these are not. And if somebody's like berating you and telling you like how worthless you are or whatever, maybe this is a relationship you should have.
Well,
right?
And that's my thing, because it's like, you know, which I don't understand.
You look at the sum of those things, and it's just like, I can't imagine hanging out with somebody that acted like that. I mean,
well, and that's my thing. Yeah, because it's like, wait, what? You know, I mean, well, I would question myself more than I would question the other person in regards to, why am I fucking still here? What redeeming qualities does this other person have that I'm willing to put up with all this bullshit, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
But I mean, I think that honestly kind of comes full circle back to, you know, abusive, mentally, or I guess verbally abusive relationships. I mean, dude, I don't get it. I don't understand them.
Well,
you know what I'm saying?
I mean,
I take that back.
Things...
I get it. I just don't understand how it would get to that point, I guess.
Right. Well, and the short answer is, and you know that I've had my fair share of past relationships that have kind of bordered on you know, maybe being certifiably insane, but you know, I think that it's just when people that don't have good, I actually don't even want to use a term like good, right?
Yeah.
That don't have relationship management, like managing relationships is fucking hard. Mm-hmm. And people that don't have like a solid way of managing relationships, healthy relationships for them, whatever that means, that gets compounded, right? And so it's like the girlfriend that you were talking about. I mean, dude, if that's your norm, like you've never had somebody be like, no, think for yourself. Right? Like, read this book and like you tell me what you think, and I may disagree with you, but that's okay because disagreeing is, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Come up with your own thought, basically.
Right.
I mean,
right.
like,
and so, and the truth is, man, you have millions of adults walking around that have maybe never had that. Right.
Yeah.
And so,
well, I mean, dude, just look to Instagram. Just kidding.
Good God. Good Lord. Yeah, man. Yeah, for sure. But it's
I mean, dude, if you wanted to do,
it's the compounding, I would say.
Yeah, and if you wanted to do an even deeper dive on this stuff, which I would love to get into this further, but obviously we need to be wrapping soon. But the effect of social media on like people's I would just go as vague as like mental status kind of thing.
Right.
Like it has had such a deleterious effect that it's just like, it is insane and it's documented and nobody's talking about it.
Yeah,
it's
true,
crazy.
Man.
It's crazy.
Yeah,
but
it's true.
But which
it's
we
true.
can revisit. We can revisit that maybe in a latter episode or something. But
yeah, absolutely. It's looking about that time to get our wrap up here going.
Yeah.
Man, this was awesome. Really appreciated the conversation today. This was good,
man.
So thank you everybody for joining us today. Definitely appreciate you lending us an ear for this hour. Try to keep it to about an hour. Hope to chat with you guys soon. Tune in. The Tether podcast is going to be or is a weekly podcast. So would love to have you tune in. In the coming weeks. So this has been Tether Radio. I'm Joseph.
And I'm Daniel.
And we certainly appreciate your time, and stay tethered, my friends. We will see you next week.
Later, y'all.